Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
Business Access TV welcomes you to our coverage of the Tech Beach Retreat Regional Roadshow Mixer right here at Regis in New Kingston under the theme, The Future of Tech in the Caribbean. I'm your host, Amita Pasadbe. Please stay tuned for highlights.
Welcome, one and all. Firstly, apologies. I was planning to wear my tux today, but we were really working up to the last minute before you came to get this center up and running. There's still a few minor touches for us to put on, but I hope you like what you see. So you are here at Regis. We are the world's largest provider of workplace solutions, ranging from products for if you work from home and you just want a more professional image for your business, if you need to pop in to use a meeting room, or for our core products, which are office space. Fully furnished, or, bells and whistles included, from your telecoms, IT, even down to your gourmet coffee or during the day. So if you want to have a look to see what we have to offer, please grab one of the Regis team, and we'll be happy to show you around. We also have some goodie bags for you to take away when you leave. And in them, you would have a free lounge pass. So we want you to come and test out our product. If you want to leave your business cards, we will be also doing a prize draw for a free meeting room for a day. And also, we're running a promotion. So anyone that signs up for office space before the end of November, signs up for at least 6 months, we will give you 3 additional months free of charge. So that's a 33% discount. So looking forward to seeing all of those opportunities and those business cards flying in. So thank you very much for popping down, and please grab one of the team if you want to have a look around.
You know, I did a self-guided tour by myself around the space earlier this evening. And, you know, I am shocked at how many offices are in here. It is insane. So when you imagine all of these offices being filled with entrepreneurs and businesses all doing work and the kind of energy that can happen in this space, you really know that we're creating something special here. So thank you again, Darren. And now, Kirk, no wine for you, because I'm going to introduce you right now, the man of the evening, who is going to moderate our panel and introduce our panelists, Kirk Hamilton.
Some people in the room may be asking, what is Tech Beach? I always am fascinated but also thankful when people are willing to come out and hear about something that they have not much a clue of. So that's appreciated. Tech Beach is a platform designed to really set firm an ecosystem in the Caribbean around technology and innovation. Most of us in this room are savvy individuals within the corporate world or business world, or we're entrepreneurs, and we all yearn for a different Jamaica, a different Caribbean. A Caribbean that is forward-thinking, a Caribbean that is faster paced, a Caribbean that ideas can thrive in, and so someone can come up with something and turn it into even more. And as a 32-year-old individual, I always say to people that the challenge I've faced is, for my 3 decades on Earth, the Jamaica I know, as wonderful as it is, has never seen economic growth in any meaningful way. And I've never witnessed transformation. We're now starting to see a change on the island, and we're very excited about it. But what we feel needs to happen is there needs to be greater levels of opportunity for collaboration. There needs to be obviously greater levels of access to capital. But a lot of times we talk about these things without understanding the fundamentals of how these elements interact and how these things come together and really help to create a true economy, right? There's a conversation nowadays in Jamaica increasingly about inclusive growth. You'll hear that term over and over and over. I'll share with you as we step into this panel discussion and as I give you a little insight into Tech Beach, I usually say to people that a lot of these terminologies come into play in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean 5 or 10 years too late. No different than when we talk about technological innovations and such like that. And so if you think about what inclusivity really means, ultimately we're starting a conversation that says outside the walls of this gathering, there are people who should be involved in our economy who for some reason, for just about all of our entire lives, have been left out of the conversation. And it is suddenly happening that our private sector is acknowledging the reality that the more people who can buy my product in a sustainable manner, the better off I am, right? Personally, I don't think it's rocket science, but it is a shift and a trend that has happened in the world that has actually led to the creation of a lot of the platforms that we aspire to and want to see be successful in the region. So when you think about platforms like Airbnb and Uber and the conveniences that these things deliver to us, ultimately they're built on the pillar of inclusive growth, because what they're saying is we can democratize an industry, bring more people into it by utilizing technology to bring down the costs.
Taking the pain out of the audit preparation. Doggin Global now offers audit management services, AMS. With AMS, Doggin Global team manages your external audit process by providing the following. 1. Prepare and review schedules for your external auditors. 2. Prepare responses to your external audit team queries. 3. Assign our team members to locate supporting documents during field work. 4. Draft financial statements in accordance with IFRS to supply to your external auditors. 5. Provide guidance to your internal accounting staff regarding classification and recording of transactions. 6. Review your general ledger for accuracy. 7. Prepare necessary journal entries. 8. Prepare fixed asset register. 9. Prepare accounting and operational manual for effective internal control. 10. Liaise with the company external auditors. We work with your team to achieve timely and effective external audits, resulting in timely completion of your audited financial statement, while your current staff focuses on their daily activities. Contact us, info@doggin.global. Website, doggin.global.
The theme of tonight was, or is, the future of technology in the Caribbean. And I'll just go ahead and try to shape the conversation, but ultimately, you know, within Tech Beach, we deal with a lot of emerging technologies that seemingly are shifting the conversation and changing the landscape around the world. And what we really want to look at this evening is, where are we now? Where can we be? And I don't think it would actually hurt to discuss a bit where we're coming from. And I'll just set the tone by saying I think we've come a long way despite the way that we have to go.
I recently started my own tech company, Innovate 10X. I do believe it's a world of digital opportunities right now. I've had left my safety of my 9-to-5 job. I had a very senior position at JMMB. And I think it was about time for me to look and see where I could actually, you know, see where I could make use of these opportunities. And the way I see it now, especially in the Caribbean, and I'll include the Latin American market, you're talking about 40 million people, right? And most of the solutions, digital solutions worldwide, if people buy them and try to implement them, they typically just don't work. Because what works in another country, their unique situation, is different from what exists in the Caribbean. And therefore, I see where there are opportunities for us in the Caribbean to still learn from what's going on elsewhere in the world, to partner with those that have actually gone before us and bring those solutions to the region.
Being within the ICD group, which you can explain to folks the makeup of the ICD group, but being within an organization like that that has been around for a long time, you're charged with leading transformation there, which includes a digital focus. I guess at an enterprise level, what do you see happening, especially within an enterprise level organization that has been around?
Right. Okay, so thank you. Hi, everybody. Hi. Okay, everybody's plugged in. Great. So I think the perspective that I bring is actually a bit more unique than just being inside of ICD Group, because most of my working career has been away. And so I've been with ICD for the last 5 years, really charged with, as Kirk has said, transformation. And it started out as digital, but then what we had to create inside is what I think most companies here in Jamaica are missing the mark on, and that is recognizing that in order for digital transformation to be successful, there's a significant amount of people and cultural transformation that has to take place first. And why I say that I think that a lot of corporations are missing that is because outside of even digital transformation, I don't find that in Jamaica there is a significant amount of investment in people and culture, at least not when compared to other countries that I've worked in. And what happens is they tend to push the technology first, push for the change. You know, we need to automate, and you know, we have too many of these things not working, and too much paper, and too many books, and all of that. And so the CIOs will drop a new piece of technology in and say, okay, use that, right? And then everybody's like, okay, make my life more hell, why don't you, right? And so what I've discovered is that if you can enroll the leadership of the organization in where you're headed, from what does transformation look like when you actually have it, right? Then you can help with getting the people that have to actually deliver that transformation to help you get there.
Lauren, I'd like you to give us, from the kind of startup perspective, especially in the age of bringing in completely new solutions into the market, what you see happening in the landscape and how you see things going at the moment.
All right, thanks, Kirk, and good night, everyone. So I'm Lauren Peart, and I'm the CEO of Blue Dot, and we are a decision support services company. In other words, we provide insights via research and data to our clients. You asked initially, where we're coming from, and I think that, like you and I had discussions before, I think it's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur in Jamaica right now. I think there's a lot of opportunities that are present now, especially that were not present when I started Blue Dot 4 years ago, or even when I first went to the Branson Center in 2013 as a little hustler. So, just things such as venture capital or angel investment, or even just capital, and was non-existent. And now we have all of this capital that's available for young entrepreneurs like myself. SSL, they just invested in us. Thanks, Lamar. And the outlook is really good.
What I would get to know is, I think everyone on this panel can actually give some insight into technologies that you think will drive the transformation in Jamaica. And this is definitely very open prediction, this is not a class, but I would love to hear from you all, as we hear about things like artificial intelligence and the blockchain and such like that.
Before we get into that, I always have to raise this issue. So in Jamaica, it is nearly impossible to register IP that is not a portion or some sort of mechanical device, because the Patent Act is from 1860 something. So I think that's a good segue, because that is a prohibitor of tech here. It is nearly impossible, and I'm hoping that some people help me to lobby the government for that, from that point of view.
Okay, great. So I think that it's really more basic types of technology that are going to really kickstart things here. And I say that because, so we've, I brought Laren in a couple of times to pitch to different entities within the group. So for those of you that don't know, ICD has 9 groups within the portfolio now, right? And for the more traditional legacy companies, data is really, really, really important. And so I find that any type of technology that has to do with business intelligence or analytics, I think that type of technology will be quite foundational and is something that people can buy into because they get it. They see how it's going to benefit their businesses. And so I think that he's actually in a great space. So anything that is doing analysis, I think for sure.
I think cloud technologies is where it is. So the larger corporations, they would have gotten a head start because they're big, they have the large IT budget, they have this CRM system, Oracle financial systems and all that. The small enterprise, if they're smart, they can sign up maybe $30 a month US and have a very good CRM system for 5 users, or an accounting system that rivals what some of these large organizations are doing. So you can actually have a very efficient organization that rivals the technology that other the larger institutions may have. The cloud technology, like Google technology in terms of sharing and collaboration, that's actually available to everybody. So a lot of these business people, they're so busy, dealing with the sales and the accounting. Again, that's opportunities for entrepreneurs and tech companies to work with these small enterprises and show them that, look, I can really make it a lot more efficient. Robotic process automation has taken on like wildfire over there. It's like where you're giving each person their own personal robot. That's how they're actually pitching it now. But this, again, is cloud-based technology.
We speak of not just decision-making, but informed decision-making.
This week on Business Access.
We want to have the numbers to support what we do, and we are in an age where, mistakes can cost, and we've seen it in other jurisdictions, we've seen it in our own history. I'm Wayne Henry, Chairman and Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, and you're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
Hi, it's Novia MacDonald-White, Senior Associate Editor at the Jamaica Observer. And guess what? You are watching Business Access Television.
Regis is the global leader in service offices. So service offices here at Regis is all about flexible workspaces and flexible working. So businesses, young startups, entrepreneurs, or existing businesses who are looking for ready-to-use serviced offices where you pay one invoice a month and it's all-inclusive. This is the place for you. Whether it's a 4-person outfit or a 20-person business, you can get an office for a day, for a week, for a month, for a year, and our office space is our core product. On top of our kind of core product of office space, we have the virtual office where we will manage your mail, we will manage your answering, we'll manage your telephone, so telephone answering, mail management, and depending on your level of needs, your level of requirements, we have different types of virtual office products. We also have meeting rooms, so clients in the center who need a boardroom or need a project meeting room. They can rent that for a half a day, for an hour, for 2 hours, and they get a discount as clients here. But it's also open to non-clients who need meeting rooms and want a very professional and productive environment. We provide that service too. And then we've got business lounge membership, and that membership allows you access to 3,000 Regis lounges right across the world. So if you're a member here, if you're in Miami or London or New York or Singapore, you can go to Regis Centre, you'll turn on your laptop and you'll connect to the Wi-Fi seamlessly. In addition to that, we've got co-working if you just want to rent a desk by the month. We also offer that service. So there's a lot of flexible working solutions and workspaces for the modern day business person, the modern day businesses. So when you look at what we have in our centres in Barbados or in London or in Trinidad or in Hong Kong, we get a diverse mix of businesses. So we're very excited about launching here in Jamaica, launching here in New Kingston. And in a few weeks' time, we'll start to see the community here develop, and we'll start to see a nice thriving business centre happening here. With it's going to be very interesting, the types of customers and the types of clients we get coming in our door.
So tonight we explored what is happening in the global landscape from a technology and innovation perspective, and the possibilities for development here in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean. How these new innovations are affecting the global business environment, how it's affecting us. Ultimately, we started a discussion on how people in the Caribbean can start building their own solutions, what needs to happen for companies to start going from zero to big enterprise in little to no time, in the way that we've seen things happen with organizations that we all know like Airbnb, Uber, and such like that, which in many cases didn't exist 10, even 15 years ago. Ultimately, what we offer is an all-inclusive campus-style environment where the best in the Caribbean meet the best in the world. And the idea generally is that people are able to connect in a very meaningful way. It's a very immersive experience. We primarily explore emerging technologies, right? So we've sparked a conversation that is not very typical in Jamaica. Things like blockchain technology, robotics, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality. But we look at them from a very practical level. What is happening in business, how things are shifting, and what we are known for is our ability to attract the best in the world, the best in industry in these spaces, right? Including, of course, our very own best in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean as well, right? So some of the speakers include people like Michelle Romano, who's a Dragon on Dragon's Den, and also the founder of a company called Clearbank. Founder of Vonage, a gentleman by the name of Jeff Pulver, who's joining our platform for the second time. We have people coming from companies like MasterCard, Airbnb, Google, Facebook, and such like that. We actually have an official Facebook workshop happening at Tech Beach for digital marketers. But then on the other side, we have people like Nadine Matthews from NCB, who's leading the transformation of Jamaica's largest bank. We have people like the CEO of JMB Bank, Jerome Smalling. We have the CEO of BCIC Insurance, which is doing they're doing a lot of interesting things in the insurance space. A gentleman by the name of Peter Levy. So we also tend to look at what is happening on the ground and try and bring those conversations to the table as well, and give them a global platform to share what they're doing with the rest of the world.
So we're here tonight at the Tech Beach Retreat. Mixer, your thoughts?
I thought it was amazing. I mean, what Tech Beach is really good at is bringing the discussion that's happening at Silicon Valley and other places to Kingston, to Jamaica, and we did that again tonight. I mean, we talked a lot about how can we incorporate blockchain and AI into technology and into companies in Jamaica, and the insights that the panel gave were really, really good. So,
all right. Talk to us about Tech Beach itself. You've been before.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I've been every year that it has happened, and every year I can't walk away from the panels that are there because it's so engrossing to have the quality and the caliber of the people that are discussing at a very high level these changes that are going to affect every single human being for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So it's not missable at all. If you're interested in the trends in tech and the future of tech, you have to go to Tech Beach. There's nowhere else to go. Yeah.
The center, Branson Center officially moved to Kingston in 2017 after being Mobay since 2011. How was the transition and why?
It's been really fantastic because 70% of our entrepreneurs are actually based in Kingston, all of our partners, the media, etc. So we feel like we've really had more of an impact and we're more integrated into the entrepreneurship ecosystem being based here in the business hub of Jamaica. And I think we actually also changed our strategy to target scale-up entrepreneurs, growth stage entrepreneurs instead of startups, and that has had really amazing results. Lauren is one of our entrepreneurs. He was on a panel here. He got a great investment this year from SSL Ventures too, and we have a lot of other entrepreneurs like that that are investment ready, and you're going to see a lot more of them in the coming months.
What are your thoughts about the Tech Beach Retreat mixer this evening?
I think it's excellent. This is my first time here at the Mingle, and it would be my first time going to the retreat soon. I feel like it's a family here, brothers and sisters, very like-minded persons, and I'm excited to learn. I mean, I'll contribute where I can, but it's really about learning and sharing where we can, you know.
As someone that has a tech-based business, what would you say are some big challenges that are facing, I guess, startup businesses within the technology industry?
Well, you know, a lot of one of the challenges, especially for small businesses, is knowing what is out there. So researching what's the best systems available to you to meet your needs. From a simple point-of-sale system, there are so many out there you can buy, from the hardware to the software, etc. Those are challenges in and of itself. Another thing that maybe, you know, companies don't really pay close attention to is like security. To be really conscious of the risks involved with what you do take on board with your business. So those are, there are a number of others, but those are two ones that jump to mind.
So talk to us about Growth Tech. What is it that you guys do?
Well, Growth Tech is a company that was conceptualized in 2016. So what we're doing is pretty much spreading connectivity in Jamaica, making connectivity like oxygen available to everyone everywhere. And with that, it segues nicely into this Tech Beach event where they speak a lot about creating an ecosystem of technology to foster growth in Jamaica.
So talk to us about your company, Innovate 10X.
Okay, Innovate 10X is a passion of mine where I'm actually looking at helping companies go along their digital transformation. So we know that there's a lot of technologies out there. There's artificial intelligence, blockchain, big data. It's all happening now. It's now becoming mainstream. But 95% of companies in Jamaica doesn't understand anything about the technology, literally. They're still struggling with accounts payables, inventory management, basic CRM, much less to worry about where new and emerging technology can help them along their journey.
The panel discussion earlier spoke to challenges within our tech industry here. What would you say is one of the bigger ones?
It's actually, yes, it's actually still a matter of a lack of funding. I think most banks or people with the capital don't understand how to fund technology. They're still looking like a physical asset, a motor vehicle, a real estate. A funding a tech business. That's a big problem, because tech business is usually built on an idea that you want to produce something that is software based. It's not something that's it's tangible, something that you can actually touch and feel, right? But we need more people to understand that, to be able to invest in it and feel comfortable that if you stick with the entrepreneur, if they're very determined, you're like to actually make a very good return. Similar like if you're investing in a manufacturing or a distribution company.
And that's it for Business Access TV's coverage of the Tech Beach Retreat Regional Roadshow mixer right here at Regis in New Kingston. I've been your host, Amita Prasad-Webb, and thanks for tuning in. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
My name is Herbert Chung, Executive Chairman, Co-Founder, Honeybun 1982 Limited. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
Your business matters. matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
We don't have to go to the bar. We don't have to pay the extra money for you to carry the water.
I think this water system would help us better now.
Testimonies of government partnerships working for the people. Stick around for the details. I'm Adrian Atkinson and you're watching Jamaica Magazine. It's a new day with lots to be grateful for. And as author and motivational speaker Amy Collette puts it, gratitude is a powerful catalyst for happiness. It's the spark that lights a fire of joy in your soul. Let's choose to be happy today. Reggae Month 2020 is here and a host of activities are in store across the island. Echoes of sound systems, Reggae Wednesdays, Reggae Gospel Concert, Bob Marley's 75th birthday celebrations, Jaria Honours Award, Reggae Film in the Park, Children of the Icon Store Concert and more. Keep up to date on all the activities. Download the new Reggae Month mobile app. Simply search the words Reggae Month Jamaica in the Google Play or App Store. The app will also allow you to add and promote your own Reggae Month activity. So what are you waiting for? Download away and make use of this innovative technology today. Reggae Month 2020. Come catch the rhythm.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry and this is your JIS News for Thursday, February 13. The first patient placed in isolation has returned a negative test for COVID-19, previously known as the novel coronavirus. The Ministry of Health and Wellness says the results were received yesterday from the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The patient, who arrived on the island from China on January 30, had been placed in isolation and will now be discharged. A sample taken from a second person who was isolated on February 10 is now being tested at the Caribbean Public Health Agency. CARFA is also testing a sample taken from a third Jamaican who has been isolated after arriving in Montego Bay from China with a fever on February 11. In the meantime, the Health and Wellness Ministry is reminding the public to protect themselves from infection through frequent hand washing, coughing and sneezing into tissue and discarding it, as well as avoiding contact with ill persons. Major development works will start on 4 health centers in St. James within the next 2 months. This will benefit about 15,000 residents and 70 healthcare workers across the 4 communities served by the Granville, Adelphi, Barrettstown and Flanker Health Centers. At the recent launch of the program, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton said it was in line with government's 10-year strategic development plan for the sector.
Apart from the upgrades that will be done, there's also going to be more personnel, more equipment, and greater levels of curative services.
The program is spearheaded by the Jamaica Social Investment Fund and is being financed by European Union-funded Health Centre Expansion Program at a cost of $154 million.
The European Union is strongly committed to both national and global health security. Here in Jamaica, this is why we have focused our efforts and encouraged other actors to do so.
The Ministry of Transport will be purchasing additional buses to sustain daily deployment and improve service delivery at the nation's state-owned bus company. This was announced during Tuesday's ceremonial opening of Parliament, and our reporter, Lorraine Mendez, was there and filed this report.
Commuters using the Jamaica Urban Transit Company Limited JUTC could soon be riding in electric buses. This as Governor General Sir Patrick Allen, in his throne speech Tuesday, announced that 45 electric buses would be added to the JUTC's fleet.
The projected benefits of implementing this initiative is quite significant,
and include energy saving, environmental preservation, and the reduction of the national fuel bill.
The JUTC is projected to spend $2.96 billion on fuel costs for the 2020-2021 financial year. This was outlined in the Jamaica Public Body's estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year ending March 2021, which was tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. The bus company is projected to earn $4.5 billion during the upcoming fiscal year when compared to its total operating expenses forecast of $12.5 billion. The JUTC intends to increase operational efficiency by completing the implementation of an oil filtration system of 300 buses and refurbishing 15 damaged buses to facilitate their return to service. Other measures include enhancing its fleet management and bus tracking system and improving the fare collection system. Reporting for JIS News outside Gordon House, I'm Lorraine Mendez.
The Ministry of National Security will be spending $400 million under its security strengthening project in the new fiscal year. The information is outlined in the estimates of expenditure for the 2020-2021 financial year. Of the $400 million, $273 will be used to purchase and install equipment. These include management systems for case, jail, and station records. Equipment will also be purchased for the Firearm Licensing Authority, interconnection between agencies, as well as connectivity and surveillance at the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Department of Correctional Services. The overall objective of the project is to build capacity to increase the conviction rate for murders.
This government is committed to improving not the working conditions of the police force and to providing the police with adequate resources to fight the criminal network.
The project, which started in January 2018, will end in March 2023. It is being funded by the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB. In the meantime, 4 additional family courts are to be built in St. Anne, St. Thomas, Spanish Town, and Portmore. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says this will be done as part of the approximately $200 million European Union funding support, which is being provided to finance institutional strengthening in the justice sector.
We want to see results in terms of the court system themselves responding to the case backlog. We need to ensure that when our citizens access the courts, that they can have their matters settled in a timely manner.
Minister Chuck made the disclosure recently while speaking at the opening ceremony for the 11th Annual Restorative Justice Conference. The Family Court is governed under the Judicature Family Court Act and is responsible for all legal proceedings relating to family life except for divorces. And finally, the Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, has confirmed that 2 candidates were duly nominated on Wednesday to contest the March 2 by-election in the Clarendon Southeastern constituency. Independent candidate Derek Lambert was nominated at 11:04 a.m., while the Jamaica Labour Party representative Pernell Charles Jr. was nominated at 12:55 p.m. Nominations took place at the Vere Technical High School. The Electoral Office says it will now advance its preparations for Election Day on March 2. The election in Clarendon Southeastern marks the 6th parliamentary by-election to be held since the 2016 general election. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
Water is precious. So we encourage everyone to practice the 4 R's of water conservation. Always remember to reduce your use of water wherever possible. Replace water wasting devices with water savings devices. Reuse water wherever possible. And wherever leaks are found, please repair them and repair them quickly.
Don't delay. Practice the 4 R's of water conservation today.
Water conservation measures were recently announced by the government as we approach the upcoming dry season. But with this, efforts are ongoing to tap into our natural resources to make the precious commodity available to deep rural farming communities.
Farmers, the lifeline of the food chain. Water, the precious resource that helps to grow the food we love. Put them together and we get an agriculture sector that will produce on a consistent and sustainable level. So the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries is continuously implementing projects to connect farmers with water through initiatives like the Government of Jamaica Adaptation Fund program. The agriculture component of the GOJ Adaptation Fund program is to build farmers' resilience against climate change. With over $250 million Jamaican dollars in funding, farmers in vulnerable communities are being trained in best practice methods such as land husbandry and equipped for rainwater harvesting and improved irrigation infrastructure. Beneficiaries are small farmers in the parishes of Trelawney, St. Mary, Manchester, St. Catherine, St. Thomas, St. Anne and Clarendon. We journeyed into the hills of Low River in southern Trelawney to look at the work being done to harvest and distribute water to the predominantly yam farming community.
The Low River Water Harvesting and Irrigation Scheme is just under $2 million. One of the systems that has been most far-reaching, the fact is that to date we have just about 70 householders that have been connected to the system, and that is directly impacting about 350 community members. This system comprises of an entombment. What we have done, we have improved the entombment. We have built a wall across this area here, about 5 to 6 feet in depth and about 12 feet across. And that has improved the water storage capacity significantly. It was about 9 feet prior to the intervention, and now the 6 feet that we have added brings it to about 14 feet in depth.
To increase the flow of the water from the hill, the 3-inch pipes which connected the system before were changed to 6-inch pipes.
And that is what accounts for the significant pressure that we observe down in the community.
Prior to the improved water system, community members would have to come here and catch water for domestic use, while the farmers had to go to the river to catch water for irrigation purposes.
So you no longer have to go to the river to take up water?
Me not think so.
That's the water that you farm
We
here.
have the pipe run, everything going in process. We don't have to go to the river. We don't have to pay the extra money for you to carry the water.
I think this water system would help us better now.
Presently, we have an approximately 470 farmers who benefit from the system. These farmers presently cultivate some 267 hectares of land. We are encouraging farmers to farm what we call climate-smart agriculture. And this project certainly is a way to assist these farmers in order for them to produce all year round and in order for them to support, especially the import substitution program that the government is presently promoting.
The Low River Water Project was started in 2014 by the residents and Councillor of the Lorimer's Division, Paul Patmore. By enhancing the water system, the Government of Jamaica Adaptation Fund program was able to not only increase the flow of water, but also ran pipes along the main, and the residents took it a step further.
They have gone ahead and invested in pipes, in black tanks, to take the water from our distribution line into their household. So this is a real partnership between the community and the project. Many of the farmers have testified that they are able to go back into production, expand their production, and quite a number of householders are now living more comfortable in terms of having access, increased access to water, both for irrigation as well as domestic purposes. The greenhouse that was out of operation because of the lack of water, preparation is being made as we speak to recommission that greenhouse into production. Transportation comes as far as from St. Anne, Clarendon, Manchester to collect water, to carry back to those communities to service farmers as well as community householders or domestic as well as irrigation use.
The next phase of the Low River Water Project is to connect the farmers with on-farm irrigation systems.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Original.
The License Center of Excellence caters to students post-primary 13 years and up who have been assessed and who have been diagnosed to be on the intellectually disabled spectrum. That means they're either mild to moderate. The Digicel Foundation was kind enough to give us this wonderful school so St. Thomas can cater more to these children who need special attention. This institution opened its doors September 2017. We have a wonderful team here. We have teachers who love children. We have an administrative and an ancillary staff who loves children. Most naturally, the campus coordinator loves children. So we are here catering to the needs of these children because we believe in adding value. These children have a lot to offer, but you can only unearth it with patience, with love, and with care. Because if they don't trust you, you can't win them. And so, we want these children to be independent. We want them to contribute to their families, to their communities, and the society at large. And so we're preparing them for the working world. So at the License Center of Excellence, we are skill-based. There is room for improvement, and we welcome the hands to share so that we can care more. We offer theater arts. Yes, the children can do a little. We communication. We do math, but not the math you know of trigonometry. No, we are teaching them how to balance their books. So they know a lot of measurement and of course money. We offer to them home economics, food preparation, and a little clothing and textile. As you walk around our lovely campus, it's green vegetation. So we do a little bit of agriculture and we're able to give to our kitchen, and the children can get to take home. Of course at a cost, because we're teaching them that everything comes with a cost because we need money to do other things. My students are interesting and we listen to them. One boy said to me, "Miss, me no want the way you do the school and I'm want to fill your block." And so I went out into the wider community and we're actually teaching our students how to lay blocks, and they're enjoying it. In special ed, a lot of emphasis is placed on life skills. And life skills is taught in all the subject areas with extra emphasis coming from the guidance departments. So of course, License Center of Excellence is the place to be.
My classroom is a corporate space. I facilitate learning. My students learn from each other. They help each other during the learning process. Enabling them, I make certain that I encourage them that there's nothing that they cannot do. And the motivation that they get from being a part of my classroom, the fact that we differentiate learning too in there and tiered activities are used, it makes no child feel left out.
What I love about the License Center of Excellence, it's a level playing field. We exclude no one. So all activities, if it means you're to get assistance, be it from a classmate, a teacher, or from an ancillary worker, you're going to get the assistance because we believe in excellence. Excellence for all.
Mosquitoes will breed in containers that hold water. Tightly cover water storage containers such as drums, buckets and tanks, or cover the water surface with cooking oil. Punch holes in all tins, plastic containers and boxes to prevent the collection of water before disposal. Cover old tires or fill with dirt. Scrub all vases once per week to remove mosquito eggs and dispose of garbage by placing in plastic bags. Do your part to prevent mosquito breeding. A message from the Ministry of Health.
The call to give blood is never ending, as there is always the need for it. And that's why the government has put the necessary equipment in place to process your donation and make it safe for others to receive.
As long as man is around to get sick or injured, blood will remain a high-demand substance for health practitioners. But for all its wonderful properties, the life-saving bodily fluid could become a death sentence if not handled properly. For those who need their supplies boosted, health workers cannot simply hook up a needle and feed the red and white cells from another individual straight to the needy bloodstream.
It's not just a simple matter of collecting blood, finding out what the group is, and then passing it on to the recipient. There are lots of other things that go into providing safe blood.
Think of blood like a home. Certain fundamental things like walls, floors, and ceilings are common to all, but the little things you put in over the years and experiences you have within those spaces make each unique to its owner. Like your home, blood can change owners, but you have to make some adjustments to have it meet the needs of the new recipient. That is what the technicians and health workers have to do before blood that is donated can be passed on to someone in need. The first step is to screen the donor to determine their medical history and suitability to donate.
The screening is aimed at 1, protecting the donor, and 2, protecting the potential recipient.
After that, it's a matter of sterilizing the donor's arm and proceeding to draw the blood. From there, the blood is taken to the lab, where it goes through a series of tests. Technicians look for things like blood groupings such as A, B, O, and Rh types, antibodies in the red blood cells, venereal diseases such as syphilis, HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, hepatitis B and C, which affect the liver, and HTLV, human T-cell lymphotropic virus type 1 and 2, a virus that weakens the immune system. At the island's blood bank, the National Blood Transfusion Service, tests such as these are carried out daily. For each unit of blood drawn, 2 sample tubes are also collected. These are referred to as the red and purple top. For accuracy, data on the tubes must correspond with the main bag. The purple top sample is used to screen for antibodies and blood groupings. Blood grouping is just as important as the infectious screening. This ensures compatibility for the recipients, that is, people of the same blood group receiving the same blood type.
We do our ABO grouping here at the blood bank using the Diamed system. This technology is a gel system. It has microtubules, otherwise we call it as wells, and it has our anti-sera already in these wells.
A drop of the donor blood is placed into each of these wells. It is incubated and put in a machine that spins the substance at a high speed. After this process, a reading is given.
This is an example of a blood group. We can read it macroscopically. This is reading O negative based on the cells that are seen here.
In VDRL testing, which checks for syphilis, A small amount of the serum or the white part of the blood is dropped into a tube and then incubated at 56 degrees Celsius. After 30 minutes, it is taken from the incubator, placed on a slide, mixed with an antigen, and then rotated at 180 degrees for 4 minutes. The slide is then placed under a microscope for reading. A positive sample for syphilis would show signs of lumps or flocculation. Samples from the main lab are taken over here for the human immunodeficiency virus HIV screening, as well as the human T-cell lymphotropic virus HTLV and hepatitis B and C screenings. The different reagents or chemical compound for each of these viruses are added to the blood samples and placed in this machine. The reagent will cause a color change to the sample, indicating a positive reading.
Basically, it interprets this color change to a numerical value, which we can quantitate. Either if it's positive, it tells us the degree of positivity based on the numerical value, and if it's negative, we also get a numerical value, but we also have a cutoff value which can tell us whether it's negative or positive.
Whole blood is never administered as part of safety measures. The whole blood is separated into components: red blood cells or packed cells, plasma, or white cells.
If you had a patient who was anemic, who is in heart failure, and you gave whole blood, you're giving that person a lot of plasma unnecessarily. They really need the packed cells component. Not only is it unnecessary, but you put them at added risk of making the heart failure worse. So it is important to give just the component that is required.
And the safety procedure doesn't end there. A cross-matching process is also done to identify minor blood groups that might interfere with a successful transfusion process. But once all the tests are done to satisfaction and the separation process is completed, you can rest assured that the blood to be administered is safe.
The ECJ will be renewing all voter ID cards. Visit any EOJ constituency office or voter ID card renewal center if your card has an issue date of 2015 or before. Cards with issue dates 2016 or later will automatically be reprinted. The ECJ will notify cardholders when cards are ready. Current ID cards will be valid until December 2020. For more information, contact the ECJ.
It's time to go, but not before this word from the late author and spiritual teacher Eileen Caddy. Gratitude helps you to grow and expand. Gratitude brings joy and laughter into your life and into the lives of all those around you. Remember to give thanks in all things. Do join us again tomorrow for another exciting program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
Cameo takes you behind the scenes of Jamaica's exploding creative industries to give you an insider's look at how creatives get the job done.
I'm really picky about how we treat our customers.
As creative people, we went a little bit over the top.
Each week, we interview innovators leading the charge in their industry.
The chaos of creativity meets the stricture of structure on Business Access TV's Cameo.
You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Business Access
Business Access TV.
Serious
about business.
Business Access TV comes to you from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica Business Seminar under the theme Achieving Growth, Sustaining Viability. I am Tamar McHale with part 2 of the highlights, starting with a presentation on global turmoil and its implications to Jamaica.
So I'm sure we've all seen in the news what's been going on, the fears of the trade war, global crisis, the world is coming to an end. Trump basically controlling everything. Those fears have been widespread and right across the globe. The constant trade war between the US and China, even the Chinese, their headlines, you all see it, are also very concerned about this. Brexit, another huge issue that has been in the news, another huge issue that is affecting global trade and affecting the economies of the world. Trump looking closer at the trade war between US and China. Trump has accused China of unfair trading practices and intellectual property theft. The Chinese believe that the US want to undermine their country's rise, and this has basically led to an economic fallout which has vexed the global markets. Over the past year, the US has imposed over $360 billion worth of tariffs on the Chinese government. The Chinese has retaliated with $110 billion worth of tariffs on US products. Washington has delivered 3 rounds of tariffs this year, and the 4th one was in September of this year. The last round was on meat and musical instruments, and they put a 15% duty on Chinese meat and musical instruments coming into the US. Beijing has hit back with 5% to 25% tariffs on US goods. The last tariff was a 5% levy on US crude oil, the first time fuel has ever been hit in this trade battle, which is a huge, huge thing. And we're feeling it in the oil prices. The oil prices have come off considerably since this tariff has been in. Both sides are basically threatening to take action against one another. Washington has further threatened another set of tariffs for December of this year. China has also planned to hit back with tariffs on 3,000 more products for the US by the end of this year. If nothing is interrupted, this process will reverse 40 years of increased trade and financial and economic integration between China and the US. Other nation companies won't follow the Americans and lead, and they are benefiting from this. So if you look at this, China has felt the pinch with $35 billion of export losses to the US since the beginning of this year, and other countries are benefiting. So Taiwan has been the biggest beneficiary of this. $4.2 billion in the first half of 2019. Trade between the US and Taiwan has grown. Mexico has grown by an additional $3.5 billion of trade between Mexico and the US. EU, Vietnam, other big benefiters of what's happening in the trade war between the US and China. Korea, Canada have also benefited, ranging between $0.9 and $1.5 billion of trade. The US companies have also benefited. They have picked up the slack, and they have also, rather than exporting jobs to China and importing goods from China, they have kept $14 billion worth of exports and goods produced in the US by producing it in the US rather than in China. So we're seeing that net there, what Trump is doing is benefiting the US, is hurting China, and the rest of the world is benefiting. This is where Jamaica, the opportunity for Jamaica here comes in. The problem is that we've killed our manufacturing sector, and we can't pick up the slack like a Taiwan or a Mexico or the EU right off the bat. But there's a huge opportunity here for us to get in the middle of this China-US trade war and benefit. These are the huge headwinds that are ahead of us in terms of trade and how this will affect us in the region as well as the rest of the world. So these issues are not new. They have been around for 2 years. So why all of a sudden are people saying that we're near a recession? Well, on March 22nd of this year, the US Treasury curve inverted. What does that mean? That means that long-term rates in the US fell below the short-term rates in the US. It meant that persons were beginning to worry. It meant that those persons that were in stocks and other long-term assets began to sell those assets and went to the safety of treasuries. Once you move to treasuries, the yields fall, the yield curve inverts. What does that mean for recession? Well, since 1975, every recession in the US has been preceded by an inversion of the yield curve. So since 1975, and you'll see it from the chart, so the global financial crisis was preceded by the yield curve inverting. The dot-com bust in early 2000, again, the same with the oil price shock in the 90s, was all preceded by an inversion of the yield curve. And this happened on March 22nd of this year. Typically, the recession usually follows an inversion by 6 to 2 years. So it's not an immediate thing. So this is what has been causing a lot of panic. 6 months to 2 years. Right. So this is what happened in the US and has been causing a lot of panic. Whether it's self-fulfilling or not, it is a cause for concern given our reliance on the US and our reliance globally on trade. So again, coming out of the inversion of the yield curve and coming out of the trade wars, IMF reduced its target for GDP growth from 3.5% to 3.3% for this year on a global basis. You'll see in 2009 where we had the recession. This is a big thing because this is the lowest level of growth that's predicted by the IMF since the 2009 crash. Again, this shows the global distribution of GDP across the globe. The US and China contribute 40% of GDP to the globe. If US and China continue this trade war and production starts to fall in these two territories, you're looking at our global issues throughout the globe. If you add in the rest of Asia and you add in what's happening in Europe and the EU into that, you're looking at a 75% drop, a 75% GDP contribution. Those countries a fall in their production in the coming months. So how does that affect us here in Jamaica? Well, we need to look back at what happened at 2008 and when we had the big financial crisis of 2008 and the last time that Jamaica was in recession. You'll see that was a major financial crisis. So the global markets had financial headwinds. There was cheap credit and loose lending terms internationally. Subprime mortgages was the thing of the day. We had a huge credit crunch. The US economy slowed. That spread right across the globe, and world economy prices were plummeting. So the Fed, in response to that, they dropped rates, had the longest period of expansionary policies throughout the US with interest rates at the lowest they've been for the longest period in US history. Stock market had its worst performance during that period and has recovered considerably since. For Jamaica, back then, we were in a much worse position. So we had an exchange rate that was galloping. I mean, somebody might argue that it's galloping today. I hear we're selling at 143.20 today. Yeah, it's crazy, sorry. But we had a spiraling fiscal deficit, we had unsustained debt levels, rising interest rates, bond prices were under pressure, with negative economic growth, and our rating was under huge pressure. Since then, Jamaica has really turned around following 2 successful public debt exchanges, JDX and NDX. Our interest costs are rock bottom now. Our maturity profile on government debt has been extended. We've had 2 successful IMF programs. Government of Jamaica is very proactive in their liability management, improved economic stability, 18 consecutive quarters of growth, albeit very low, and an upgrade in the country's credit rating. Our financial entities are much better regulated. Consumer spending is much more moderate. Real estate prices have been stable, and financial entities are much better capitalized.
Stay with us. We hear more from Mr. Johan Heaven when we return.
Dodgen Global offers a CPA scholarship program to team members who join our team. A career in accountancy at Dodgen Global is a great choice and can offer you excellent job prospects. We believe that an accounting education is the greatest gift you can give yourself or anyone else. Few gifts make as significant an impact as the gift of an accountancy education with a job. It's a contribution that lasts a lifetime in the form of learning, opportunity, and success. Join our team and get the opportunity to be part of our CPA scholarship program. This scholarships awards program will be administered by the HR department of Dodgen Global. Requirement: first degree in accounting. Employed at Dodgen Global. Willing to pursue the CPA examination. Here's how to apply. Submit application to Staff Accountant, Dodgen Global. Email sa@dodgen.com.
So what will a slowdown in the world economy look like for Jamaica? We're going to take it on a industry by industry basis. So in terms of tourism is now 9% of our GDP, still a considerable portion of our GDP. Global slowdown obviously will affect our tourist arrivals and affect our GDP growth. It's critical that we need to diversify our tourism product. We need to tap into other markets. We need to not depend only on the US market. And I see, the minister is doing that. Tourist board is doing that. We're doing a good job, but we still need to tap into other markets. We need to be in China, which is the largest economy in the world. We need to have Chinese come in here. Chinese don't like sand and sea. They like the cultural experience. They're here. Yeah, we need more though. We need, yeah. Remittances, again, a huge contributor to GDP, 16.5% remittances. If there's a slowdown in the US, we're going to see lower levels of remittances coming into Jamaica. Bauxite, we know, is already under pressure. Alpart and Gisco plant have closed. Again, if commodity prices fall, we will see a further fall off in bauxite. Foreign direct investment as well, we've been doing very well. Again, we will see lower levels of FDI and lower levels of foreign exchange coming into the country. This will put further pressure on the foreign exchange rate. Our NIR, however, has been very stable and at the highest level it has been forever. The governor does not like to use the NIR to stabilize the dollar though, but if there is significant pressure on the dollar, he will have to use the NIR to stabilize the dollar and to bring the US into the market. Unemployment at its lowest level, near 6%. BPO sector growing, manufacturing sector growing, but if tourism and other sectors come under pressure, we could see unemployment coming under pressure. And then this is really the most concerning thing for me. It is our local asset prices, and because interest rates are at all-time lows, many of the fund managers have been finding it difficult to find assets to invest in. So you see a lot of the money moving towards real estate, money moving towards the stock market, money moving to other fixed income instruments, and I believe that a lot of those assets are overpriced right now, given the relatively low level of interest rates. Yesterday, the BOJ CD came in at 0.99%, below 1%, below where the US Treasury raises funds at. So our local government is raising money cheaper than the US government. That's because our local institutions don't have anything to do with the funds, and so they're running after assets that are coming out. Again, the stock market, which has been very well, 2 years we've been the best performing stock market. We have to be very careful with the asset prices and how far they're going, because right now, the levels that they're trading at, in the high 20s, when you look at the price to earnings ratio, my opinion, it's high, and we have to be very careful with where we are right now. Real estate is the new thing. A lot of developments going on, which is great, but we have to be careful of the real estate prices and where they're going. We don't want to end up in a case where we have a stock market bubble or a real estate bubble, and then when the bubble bursts, we all know what happens.
Coming after Johan, the topic is very timely, disasters. And I'm happy to be sharing the panel with Bruce, because the truth is that, thank you, the truth is that business continuity, not just for business, but for government, is key. And that business continuity speaks to recovery planning, which is absolutely important as we try to grapple with these issues. We are reminded often, right here in Jamaica, throughout the Caribbean, close to us, the greatest difficulty is getting back up and running. And the way to minimize that challenge is to begin that planning long before an event occurs. We've been trying very much with the government of Jamaica. Regrettably, we have not made the kind of progress we would have liked, because we saw what happened after Hurricane Ivan, and we see it each time. You shoot from the hip, you set up an organization, try to get it going. So business continuity applies not just to business, but very importantly to the national construct. We're living with a new normal. Every day we hear about disasters all around the world. There are climate-triggered disasters, there are geophysical disasters, and there are human-induced disasters. Multi-hazard disasters coming out of one of the UN global frameworks, what we call the Sendai framework, they're tracking these disasters. And over the last 10 years, well, maybe 1997 to 2017, floods accounted for the greatest impact, and the disasters stemming from natural hazards caused the greatest disruption in terms of displacement of people and so on. So we're talking about a lot of people. What do we have in the Caribbean? We have a situation where, just coming very close, 2 years ago, we had 2 Category 5 hurricanes coming within 2 weeks of each other, devastating our sister territories, many of which are still crawling to try to get back up and running. We had Dorian, which stalled over the Bahamas for several days. We have just never seen that. So not only was it intense, but it sat there. And the implications are very much there. So we ask ourselves, are these processes natural? And we have global systems that underlie natural processes. This is the reality. And very often, however, the response is influenced by the human factor. Natural systems, of course, include where we are. So we are imbued, we're located in the tropical Caribbean. That tells us some things. Plate tectonics, in terms of our geology, our geophysical construct, that makes us prone to earthquakes, the movement of these plates. We have atmospheric oceanic circulation, and then global warming and climate change, which is the central consideration. If you think Brexit is bad, and you think US-China trade war is bad, climate change is underpinning everything. So the impact of the climate, this climate reality, is very far-reaching. We don't have time to go into all of it. However, we heard about our tourism, our dependence, agriculture, manufacturing, housing, settlements, health, everything with which we are concerned in terms of how we make a living, how we generate our businesses, and there is no one in this room who is immune from the impact. And therefore, what we have to focus on, which is what is being pushed globally, is climate action. How do we build resilience? So, the second thing that we have to focus on is disaster risk reduction, which means that we have to understand the science of the hazard. We have to assess our exposure. Nobody's going to be expected to understand how the hazards are generated, but somebody has to do it. So everything has to be underpinned by the science. How exposed are we? And then what are our vulnerabilities? How is it likely to impact? Are the vulnerabilities internal to our companies, to our communities, to our homes, or are they external? For example, we had a very serious case of flooding. Some of you might remember it. It's a few years ago. Major rainfall event, wasn't a hurricane or anything, the Marcus Garvey flooding that wiped out coffee board, wiped out a lot of that coffee. That was a vulnerability that living next to the gully, which was not properly cleared, and also because we had construction that blocked some of the natural drainage. Those are external vulnerabilities that affect and have a major impact. And regrettably, again, we don't often measure the full cost of this impact, which is where our accounting profession and financial professionals come in. We need to manage, as we said before, during and after the event, because we have to prepare ourselves not only to see what's coming down the pike, but very importantly, to be able to get back up and running. Disasters are therefore considered failed development. And when we're dealing with natural disasters, as the term is used, disasters that are caused by natural events, it usually is a reflection of what we have failed to do in terms of our infrastructure, what we have failed to do in terms of our planning, and what we have failed to do in terms of ensuring that we minimize loss.
Don't go anywhere. More from the ICAJ Business Seminar when we return.
My name is Levon Flynn, and you're watching Business Access TV. Serious about business.
So we do not have generally integrated planning. We have informal, unstructured development, sometimes implicitly encouraged. And then we have structured developments. I think many of us are investors. We go for short-term financial interest, financial gain, without looking at the long term. However, we cannot really continue to do that because we pay a price. And sometimes the price may not be in our lifetime. You know, we take the case of Caribbean Terrace, which is one that is used all the time. 1994, Ivan wiped away that. Those houses should never have been built there, okay? But they were built. Persons who purchased them didn't have a clue, and you pay that price. We talked about the interconnectivity in terms of globalization and so on. and the fact that there is a cascading effect. So we moved out to this planet, this environment, since that's the third element. Very often we view this environment in terms of just getting a permit for development. So we have to do environmental assessments. We have adversarial positioning. There's always quarreling. However, it's a multifaceted and complex topic, but importantly, it's a development issue, it's a business issue, and it is closely intertwined with economics, with finance, with strategy and people. It's not solely an issue of protecting natural resources. It's not just about trees, hugging trees at all. It goes way beyond that. So we know we have natural systems. Very importantly, we have built systems. And we tend to spend less time, less focus on how those built systems are integrated with the natural. It's the environment, the planet, it's our life support system. You can't live without clean air, you can't live without water. And there are resources, there are economic assets, that's what we build on. And again, one of the things we pay less attention to, and increasingly we have to, is health. That chikungunya outbreak, the dengue, the mosquito breeding, all of that related to warming temperatures, climate change, and it is going to get worse.
My focus will be on the man-made disasters affecting businesses that are unique to businesses. So I've subtitled my presentation, Preparing and Recovering from Unique Disaster Situations. And when I use the word disaster in this context, I mean just about anything that could bring your business to a grinding halt. I had a session with one of my clients, I think earlier this week, pray for me, and one of the things, the thing that we were trying to do, we were trying to identify those events that, and we use this word, that could cripple the organization. Historically, when we think of a disrupting event to a business, our minds tend to think about the fire in the computer room or some physical thing that's disrupting our operations. And obviously, that is part of the discussion. And by the way, many businesses still struggle to recover from those unique physical disruptions. And our moderator spoke to that earlier. So when I was thinking about the presentation, I thought to myself that I'd try and give a broader methodology around how to identify these unique disrupting events with a view of making sure that if they happen, you can still continue your business. I've pretty much spoken about this in my opening remarks. Yes, natural disasters, they're everywhere, they affect our region. And this is just to repeat my opening comments. We will have less empathy. Your stakeholders will be less understanding if you have an event that is unique to you while all your stakeholders are up and running. Ironically though, if there was, say, a hurricane, and because of poor disaster preparation, you took longer to restore your business than the competitors, then you're going to find yourself in a unique situation. And so this speaks to the importance of disaster preparation. I'm not really focusing on that. So let's look at some common, unique disasters affecting some of the key business processes that we have. So the real value to me of this presentation and what I want you to take away is how to find these non-traditional type things. You know, I cannot keep repeating that we tend to think of the fire and the electrical failure and stuff like that. Technology failures, British Airways had a embarrassing situation. Didn't actually cripple them from an operational perspective, but it created significant adverse impact on their reputation. They had a power surge that brought down their check-in system and their baggage claim system. The average passenger wasn't able to get a flight until 3 days later. $122 million in hard costs, and the reputational damage was immense. Didn't cripple them in that sense, but certainly went beyond the realm of their risk appetite, I'm sure. Cyber attacks, we don't need to talk about that one too much. Equifax at an issue that's well documented. And here's another one of those unique things that I'm talking about that we would do well. I'm going to end the presentation by showing you a quick methodology as to how to find these non-traditional type things. Segregation of duties. Would you have thought that not properly segregating duties in your company could literally cause the company to die? You've thought about it, right? So Barings Bank, one of the reasons why Barings Bank, Nick Leeson, this is well documented. He was a trader, and he had access apparently to trading and settling and doing stuff that was incompatible for one person to do. And so the obvious question is, what are the segregation of duties issues, believe it or not, that could be fatal to your organization? Key third parties. The world is so interconnected today that we are heavily dependent on major third parties to deliver significant aspects of our businesses. So much so that there's a separate standard to dealing with giving assurance for how third parties are managing your business. Does the third parties that you work with, do you know if they have a business continuity plan? Could they export a disaster to your business? And the list could go on. Compliance issues. If you're regulated and you don't have certain types of persons on staff who have the required approvals or certifications from the regulator, they could shut you down. The first thing is basically to do risk assessment. And really what that is to try and identify what these things are. In PwC, we have a standard list of known threats with some leading questions. And it might seem kind of banal, but let me give you a quick example of what I'm talking about here. So this is a very simple questionnaire surrounding electrical power risk, right? So I'm talking about doing a risk assessment. So you have electrical, water, fire. Who is your neighbor? The business next door to you. We had a client where there was a big cylinder that was right next door to the boardroom because their neighbor was a restaurant that emerged overnight. Think of your impact financially. How much would you lose? Operationally, would they shut us down? Or reputation, would it be at stake? Could this cause an environmental issue? So what are the risks? There are some standard risks that have to do with your buildings. But the real value comes when you have, say, all your executives in a room, and you look at all your key objectives, and you ask each other or challenge each other to answer the question, if we were not able to get all of our tellers certified or investment managers certified, what would be the impact? So you basically do an impact likelihood assessment of all your risks that you have identified. And at the end of it, you should come up with something like this, which is known as a heat map. So having done the identification of the risks, you ask yourself on a scale of, say, 1 to 4, if this risk were to happen, what would be the impact? And then, what would be the likelihood of this risk happening to us? So in this case, if we had an air quality issue, the impact on a scale of 1 to 4 is 4. This is only for illustrative purposes. And in this entity, they say it is very likely that we would have it. And so this risk ends up in the top right-hand corner. If you want to have your viable businesses and to achieve growth, which is the broader theme of this conference, every company represented in this room, you should ensure that you have a heat map like this, and any risk that's in the top right-hand corner, you need to take some action. So if you realize that you don't have a backup site to your primary computer room, and you ask your IT persons and they tell you it's $1 million to put it in, and those are expensive treatments, it's better to spend the $1 million and save the business and your reputation, all right?
When we return, we hear from Anna K. Jones's presentation on human disaster versus natural disaster, a youth's perspective.
This is Solomon Sharp, CEO Main Event Entertainment Group. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
I was asked to give the youth perspective, as moderator said.
So what qualifies me to do such? First of all, I am a youth. Yes. And I am passionate about the environment. As she said, that is why I decided to pursue a minor in energy and environmental physics. We want to be able to develop technologies that will help sustain our future. So this is the first question that some people still have an issue with. Is climate change real? And I would answer with a very deflated, yes, yes it is. It's very exhausting to think that this is something that we still have to be wondering about and explaining to people that people don't understand. Because climate change happens without us. You know, the Earth has been through ice ages and so forth. It happens without us. Slightly more intelligent question would be, does human activity impact climate change? And the answer is again, yes it does. One of the first companies to do a comprehensive climate study was actually an oil company. And this was in like the 80s. And they found amongst themselves that yes, what we're doing is impacting the climate. And they didn't do anything about it. They didn't tell anyone. And now we have super hurricanes. So that's fun. So silly questions out of the way. Is it really that serious? Well, you tell me. Of course, we have hurricanes and droughts and wildfires. Those are things that happen with our environment. And then when we have those hurricanes and droughts and wildfires and other disasters, we have the loss of life, we have the displacement, we have the destruction of land, infrastructure, or food supply goes down, so we come down here. And then, of course, we have the human side of it, the burning of the Amazon rainforest that happened this year. Those were man-made and intentional for cattle breeding purposes. Constant fossil fuel burning, soil erosion due to improper farming practices. And then come here again, and you see a lot of the times these things, these human impacts, are sort of excused because of these issues that we're having. But then we come back here and we say that, well, wait, these things that we're doing impact up here. They increase the intensity of these natural disasters. Imagine during Hurricane Dorian, or after Hurricane Dorian, a lot of persons were not able to enter the US. I can't say for sure why that is, but we see a lot of issues like that. Amazon rainforest, persons were also using it as an excuse to damage indigenous people living in the forest. Native Americans in the US often have to deal with oil pipelines being run through their reservations, and then oil spills that spill into their water supply. And classism. It's very punishing to be poor, because you're just trying to live paycheck to paycheck, and somebody's there saying, just buy one less latte a day. And you are being blamed. The lower class is often blamed for impacting the environment with their practices. So, for example, who has ever had somebody say, you know, just don't eat meat. It's because you're eating meat why the cattle farming and the methane from the cows and all those things, and it suddenly becomes your fault when you're just trying to live your life. And this is something else. So this is one that I've thought of very recently. For a lot of us, the plastic straw ban was very inconvenient, but mildly so. You know, you have to drink, you drink faster, or you don't use a straw, or maybe you get a trendy metal straw. We don't think about persons, for example, with neurological challenges who cannot manipulate those metal straws and plastic straws, paper straws and bamboo straws. The plastic straws were very convenient for them. A new one that I saw, who in here has asthma? I don't mean to expose anybody's business, but if anybody in here has asthma, they're looking at you now, because they're saying that your asthma pumps are releasing methane, and so that is impacting the climate. You're just trying to breathe. Why are they coming for you? You're just trying to breathe. And so all these things come together, and it is that serious. You have this discrimination against these marginalized people who are just trying to exist. So what is really going on here? This is a strong word. I don't hope nobody feels offended by it since a business conference, but really and truly, you have corporations, especially particularly these massive corporations that really don't care about who they hurt, who they impact, what oil spills where. Their only concern is that the oil is spilled and they cannot sell it. So then, the government, a lot of global governments allow for these type of these pollutions to be occurring because they're getting, you know, a little money on the side. So they turn a blind eye and they don't say anything. And also, you have a lot of these corporations and the government putting the bulk of the responsibility on the citizens. When really and truly, they're not the majority. You're fixing a symptom of a problem and you're not going to the root, and you're just ignoring the root completely. Citizens, global citizens, residential pollution only accounts for about 12%. Where everything else is, you know, company-based, corporation-based. We are inheriting a planet that will not be able to sustain. I wanted to highlight some of the key youth players here. If anybody follows American politics, this is Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's daughter. She is very strong in the climate protests in the US. I wanted to highlight John Paul Hussein, particularly from India, because this week India had to announce a public health emergency because their air quality pollution was literally, and I do mean literally, off the charts. Their meters capped out, could not record any higher. It was 20 times what is considered a safe amount of pollution. 20 times that. So yeah. And Greta Thunberg is very famous. She's kind of the face of this whole Fridays for Future protest. She's pretty much one of the founders for it. She has Asperger's, which is a disorder on the autism spectrum. She's a brilliant young woman, and she practices what she preaches. Trust me, reusable packages. She takes the boats instead of the planes. She takes trains instead of cars. She practices what she preaches. She means it. So what can be done? What do we expect as youth from you? We're looking for our governments to step up. We want to change the mindset. We don't want the apathy. We want people to see that this is a serious problem. It's not just 30 years down the line or 40 years down the line when, you know, some of the older folks will be dead. And we're just gonna have to deal with it. We're just gonna have to deal with it. It's gonna be too late by then. People need to understand that now. And then we need to shift the focus from the everyday citizen. Of course, I don't want anybody to say that I'm saying that the citizens are not at fault at all. I'm hoping nobody in here is a litterer. You know, nobody's throwing the garbage out the car into the gully or anywhere else. But really and truly, we are not the main source. We're persons living our daily lives while big companies are getting away with murder. Literally, almost. Then we need to continue making our laws. It is hard, change is hard. However, it is necessary. We have to protect our natural resources, and we want to be able to move towards renewable energy. We want to be able to make that shift so that is one less thing to be worrying about. And then, of course, it doesn't make sense to have the laws if you don't enforce them. We want to have our government enforce the laws for the small citizens as well as for the big companies. We have to, and then of course, we have to do our disaster planning because we cannot afford to let a hurricane, Category 5 hurricane, even brush us in Jamaica. The Bahamas, you know the Bahamas had internet throughout all of that. If we even got the tailwind, our internet would have been knocked out. The JPS would have shut down.
This is Solomon Sharp, CEO, Main Event Entertainment Group. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
Thanks for staying with us for part 2 of Business Access TV's coverage of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica Business Seminar. We now turn over to the presentations of the challenges with meeting accounting standards and regulatory requirements.
All right, so I've been asked to speak about financial reporting challenges that are associated with entities being on exchanges, particularly Jamaica Stock Exchange. So the JSC has been getting a lot of attention in recent times based on the organization, the performance of our stock market, and also the fact that from a financial reporting perspective, I think the listed entities have kept a clean sheet. And we have been able to avoid many of the financial reporting scandals that we see emerging globally. But being on an exchange takes you into what I call the public accountability space. And you are inviting others to invest in your entity, others who are dependent on the performance of your entity to maintain and create value. So oftentimes when you have these IPOs, and an IPO can be either debt or equity, you find that you have individuals who are investing, persons who have foregone lattes to buy stocks. Sorry, Johan. Johan and I are very good friends, by the way. You have pension funds who are investing in these IPOs, and I audit some pension funds, and I find pension funds have heavy stakes in a lot of these IPOs, and each of us knows the importance of pension funds to long-term savings and just to the general economy. So you're in public accountability space, your responsibility, your stakeholder group has expanded tremendously. You have debt holders, equity holders, you have regulators who are meant to ensure that you operate in a manner that's consistent with best practice. You have the analysts who are tearing apart your performance and your results. And you also now have the attention of the global markets. People are watching the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So there is a picture of the Jamaica flag hanging outside I think it's the New York Stock Exchange, and it has gotten great publicity. There is an interview of Marlene Street Forest in the American media. So we are on the map. Once you get into that public accountability space, however, there are certain obligations that attend to you. And the main ones really are ensuring that you have a talent pool that allows you to understand, interpret, and apply all the financial reporting standards. These standards are extremely complex as the International Accounting Standards Board tries to fine-tune the accounting standards. You find that these standards are changing as the IASB and the FASB, which does the US GAAP promulgation, as they try to harmonize. You find that you have changes that are coming consistently, and these changes are complex. So in terms of your talent pool, you have to ensure that you have individuals who have the time, the agility, the intellectual capital, the access to technology that allows them to interact with these standards. And oftentimes what you find is that these are the same individuals who are doing the day-to-day transaction processing and financial reporting. So one of the challenges that entities will face, and a big one now, is with the insurance accounting standard, is trying to come to terms with the new standards while continuing to meet existing shareholder and stakeholder financial reporting requirements. And that's a huge challenge. But we have to appreciate that we are a proud nation. We like to see ourselves on the international stage. We like to compare ourselves to the larger, more profitable, more developed nations. And if we are to do that, then our financial reporting has to be consistent with theirs. We have to be able to compare our results with their results in a manner that allows for real analysis, comparison, and differentiation. And we have many entities in Jamaica as well that have huge ambitions, and there are entities that have publicly explored the option of listing on exchanges globally. And if we are to do that, then we have to have the appropriate financial reporting mechanisms.
My presentation here today is really not to go into the rules or anything like that. I don't want to bore you, but I want to speak from a practical standpoint, because I do get the calls from listed companies in terms of, saying that every day there is a new rule being developed. The stock exchange is moving like they're a New York Stock Exchange, right? We can't manage this. So I'm here to speak to you in terms of the challenges that listed companies have shared with the stock exchange in terms of, what their experience has been, right? And we do listen to these concerns and look at ways to address them if we can, right? So before going into the challenges, I want to just give you a breakdown of the regulatory environment for listed companies. And I should have asked, you guys know what ongoing requirements is speaking to, right? All right, let me just explain quickly. So as Garfield stated here, you have the first stage where the companies come to market, and they come to market usually through a prospectus offering. Now that's what you call your initial listing requirements, or satisfying initial listing requirements. When you're now on the stock exchange, you would be required to maintain that listing that you got to comply with the rules and standards of the market. So that is what we call ongoing requirements, right? And that is where you find that most of the challenges exist. So the regulatory environment, of course, I'm here, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, as a listed company, you have to report to the stock exchange. But how many persons know that as an issuer, you also have to report to the Financial Services Commission? They are the ultimate regulator of the securities market, right? So essentially, everything that you send to the stock exchange, or everything that a listed company send to the stock exchange, they are required to also send such information to the Financial Services Commission, given the provisions in the Securities Act. Of course, listed companies are required to report to shareholders, because you need the information to know what is going on in the company. You need to know, should I continue to hold this stock? Should I sell? Or should I buy stocks in another company, right? And the only way you can get that is through the communication channels that the listed company uses to communicate to you as shareholders and prospective investors. And of course, we can't leave these persons out. You have the market observers, financial analysts, and I stated prospective investors, because, sometimes they're even, they are not so reserved with their comments, So where you file a financial statement and it's deficient, an analyst would pick it up and say, what is this? How can the board of this company release such information? How can the stock exchange allow this to go through? So, it is necessary, and that's how a market should really function.
We take our final break from the ICAJ Business Seminar, but we may have saved the best for last. Stay with us.
I'm Adam Strud. This is Business Access TV, serious about business.
There are a lot of local companies
who are really doing exceptionally well at the whole CSR initiatives and are doing good for Jamaica and elsewhere. And so, of course, with Cinco, everybody knows about their recycling program, which is growing and has, because of their initiative in schools, it means that they're encouraging young people to be environmentally conscious and aware. And they've also gotten big corporates involved as well. You almost are forced to embrace these kinds of initiatives because when they are making a choice in their spending dollar, they look at sustainable living brands, they look at companies that are purpose-driven, they look at companies that are giving back. So that's another good example of a local company who is really working the CSR program well. I would have to mention some of the work that the Grace Kennedy foundations are doing. So we have two foundations. We have the Grace and Staff Community Development Foundation, which started in the 1970s, and it's a very unique foundation because that foundation it was a staff initiative and continues to be. And it started in the 1970s coming out of employees noticing a great deal of turmoil in the communities surrounding our headquarters at 73 Harbor Street. And so they decided that they wanted to do something. They wanted to create positive initiatives that would assist these communities, and particularly young people. And so they went to the CEO at the time and said, we have an idea, we want to donate. And CEO Carlton Alexander said, sure, the company will, whatever you donate, the company will match it ×2. And that has continued. And so the foundation actually celebrated 40 years this year. And continues to do some really incredible work. So we have 6 homework centers. And what we realized, particularly starting in downtown, and now it has spread, we have in Majesty Gardens, we also have in De La Vega City, in Spanish Town, and we try to also place it close to where we operate. So we also have a homework center in Sav, where we make the hams, and we have one in Barbican near the Hilo. And what we've done there is given young people a space, a safe space to do their homework, to get tutoring, to get mentoring. We also provide psychological counseling. And right now, just over 600 students across the country benefit from those homework centers. And on Tower Street, we also have a STEM center because we saw that as an important need. And so this is not telling us anything that we haven't said before. At Grace Kennedy, we take a very holistic approach. We care is our mantra, and we apply that to everything. We care about quality. We care about our customers, and that's why we focus on quality. We care about our communities. That's why we engage with them to make the communities better. We, of course, care about our shareholders, right, Alison, because they have to get that return. And we operate with honesty, integrity, and trust in all things, as you can see there. That is right under First Global Bank. But it's not just our regulated entities, it's everybody that operates with that creed. And we can't do it without our staff. So there's a great deal of focus on our staff. And we find that particularly when we're attracting people, the work that we do is very exciting to them because we are working with our communities and we are trying to give back as best we can. And so I will leave you with what I thought was a really great quote to say that it's not really a hard choice anymore. If it's done properly, it really does flow to the triple bottom line. And it does benefit not only your organization, but the wider community. And so people not only want it, they have come to expect it. So CSR is not a choice, it's a responsibility. Everybody expects it of you these days. So thank you all for listening, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching part 2 of the highlights from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica Business Seminar. It was held under the theme Achieving Growth, Sustaining Viability. Until next time, I am Tamar McHale. Keep watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
My name is Herbert Chung, Executive Chairman, Co-Founder, Honeybun 1982 Limited. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Chill Spot. Today we're going to be hanging out with Monique Walcott, Managing Director at MSW Events. She's going to be taking us to her chill spots right here in the Garden Parish of St. Anne. It promises to be anything but laid back, so grab a snack and get ready to enjoy. Hey guys, so we've just arrived here in Ocho Rios where we're about to meet up with Monique. We're here at Villa Dorame. Now just to give you an idea, Monique has over 12 years experience in marketing, sales and events, and she's also the conceptualizer of 14-14-14. That's the execution of 14 weddings for 14 couples from the 14 parishes of Jamaica on the 14th of February, of course, which is Valentine's Day. She's also a devoted mother of 4, so she loves to spend time with her family, and she's also a self-proclaimed foodie. With no further ado, let's head inside to meet this trailblazer. Hi, Monique.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Come on in. Thank you. Hi. Can I get a hug? Thank you. So Monique, what are we going to be doing today?
Today you'll get to learn a little bit about what I do to relax, unwind, and have a little fun. We're going to be visiting Mystic Mountain, which is one of my favorite adventures to do.
So there's nothing for me to be nervous about?
You're adventurous, so I think you'll enjoy it. I have nothing more to say.
Okay, and talk to me about this beautiful villa.
Villa Dorame is one of my favorite little hideaways. It's also one of my favorite wedding venues. And it's a new property, very different from the others that we've seen. There's so many villas in Jamaica, but what is unique about this one is that even though it's not on the beach, it's so tucked away, you really get that sense of seclusion and privacy. And you know, when you live in a life where you're constantly out there for work and you know, you're in the party scene or the event industry or just corporate Jamaica altogether, you want to find a space to just get away where nobody can find you. And this is my little hidden treasure. I don't have to go to the beach because that indoor pool is to die for, and it's heated, so I don't mind swimming at night. And then, you know, just the atmosphere, the greenery, the surroundings, just the architectural work. It's like a home away from home. And then it's kid friendly, so my kids get the opportunity to enjoy.
And also, I love going to the pool.
There's a pool at Mystic Mountain. Have you ever been?
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah. I love going to the pool.
This trip sounds like it's about to be a little slice of heaven, I must tell you.
I like to call it my heaven, and so I hope you'll enjoy the day with me as I take you around to the things I like to do. But note to self, as skinny as I may be, food is a must, so ensure that you left your palates open and your stomach's empty because we're gonna be eating too.
That's my favorite part of doing the show, the food.
Good, I like that.
Are you hungry? She's so cute. So now we're gonna get a little tour of the property, I understand.
To meet the rest of the gang.
I love everything, Monique. I love everything.
And the indoor pool is just a major compliment
This,
to the entire experience.
I didn't even notice that it didn't have a beach, okay? After I saw this, I was like, I was done. That was it for me.
Hi guys, say
hi guys. Hi, having fun?
And so, of course, with the kids, they're good.
Exactly. You can just
stay right in the living room. I can still watch my movie or read a novel or check my email and still be able to give an eye on them and make sure they're good.
And the pool actually seems pretty shallow.
No diving.
Right, no diving.
But definitely, you're able to do some laps, and it even works better at night when we have a bartender for the swim up pool bar.
That's
when the
lovely.
kids are in bed.
Right.
So let me welcome you ladies both to Mystic Mountain.
Yes.
Right? So the first tour you're going to be doing today with us is the Sky Explorer Tour. It's a 15-20 minutes ride from here to the main park. It gives you a scenic view of Otrios and its surrounding areas.
Is it scary?
No, it's not scary.
Nice and slow. All right.
So how high do you go?
It takes you approximately 700 feet above sea level.
700 feet above sea level. I just love it.
It sounds nice though.
We also have a mini museum, restaurant and bar, hummingbird garden, lookout tower, as well as a nature trail. The bobsled ride is 5 minutes maximum.
Okay.
Starts, ends in the same location. You're in control of your speed.
Okay.
Right? Takes you halfway through the rainforest. At the end of the ride, you're automatically pulled back to the main park.
We ready?
We can go?
We're excited. We want to go. We want to go.
The walkway straight ahead and across the road.
All right. Thanks, Kim. Slow. Look at the momentum. It's so money. We're going slow.
Coming up, what would you say is the biggest misconception about event planning?
That it's an easy job and that it's all about fun and partying. It's certainly not that, and I'm sure you can relate to that as well. It's a very high stress job because you're under pressure to deliver perfection.
We speak of not just decision making, but informed decision making.
This week on Business Access.
want to have the numbers to support what we do. And we are in an age where, mistakes can cost. And we've seen it in other jurisdictions. We've seen it in our own history. I'm Wayne Henry, Chairman and Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ. And you're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
M&A Strategy and Advisory. Are you planning for a merger or acquisition? M&A transaction. The decision to embark upon an M&A transaction is not one to be taken lightly. Whether pursuing a merger or acquisition, or considering a disposal or divestiture, the complexities of an M&A transaction require careful planning and execution. Clients can depend on our specialist teams to lead or support transactions requiring specific expertise on issues including business modeling, fast-track M&A, economic consulting, and government public sector advice. With deep experience, knowledge, and tools, Dodge & Global can meet stakeholder targets and expectations. Dodge & Global consulting teams can help you make smarter, more effective decisions. Let's have a conversation. Contact us at email info@dodgen.global. Website https://dodgen.global.
As the Managing Director of MSW Events, talk to us about what you do professionally.
I plan weddings.
Put simply.
Just simply put. However, wedding planning is more than just pulling the details and a concept together. It's about relationship building with your clients, because a bride and a groom has to have the confidence and the trust in the person that they're selecting to make their one special day unforgettable. What we do is really to put you at ease, to let you know that you have a certified company and a certified planner that will help to ease that process and to make you enjoy the entire planning experience leading right up to our wedding day. So when you ask what it is that we do, we build relationships, because we hope that after we do the wedding, then here comes the baby shower, then here comes the anniversaries. And so we formulate long-lasting relationships with our clients and just build the confidence that you're in good hands.
I came up with, we should do a Valentine's Day activity, a Valentine's Day wedding, something around the day that celebrates love.
Now you have conceptualized 14-14-14. Tell us what that is.
14-14-14 was, I needed to find a way, after being in the industry for over 10 years, how do I give back or show that, wedding is not just a job for me, but it is my passion. And then I thought, the wedding industry is booming. Jamaica is the second most demanded destination wedding location in the Caribbean. And I thought to myself, how can I give back to showcase the diversity of my country without putting on an expo that people come and look? You have people who would love to see themselves walk down the aisle in a nice dress and a nice setting, but they just can't afford it. And so we wanted to award these persons who wanted to be married to live that fairy tale that they would have never been able to live before. And so we decided that with all the vendors and partners that we have in the industry, why don't we take the concept of doing an expo but transform it into an experience that is given to persons who would never be able to afford it.
Now, even though planning weddings is your MO, you don't just plan weddings. Tell us about some of the other events that you work on.
One of the first events that we decided to jump out of weddings and explore was more intimate performances. And so now you'll understand my passion for Mystic Mountain a little better. Having gone there and having done a wedding there, one evening I thought to myself, wow, it's actually very beautiful here at night. And then we thought of doing an event called Mystic Moonlight, which would allow for a very one-on-one performance with, think of a Soundfest without all that crowd and without feeling like the stage is 10 million miles away from you, and where you have the artist being able to walk and touch you and sing to you and perform right there. And Mystic Mountain, Mystic Moonlight was one of the first events that we decided to get into a little bit more, not necessarily a dance, but more an evening of fine dining and entertainment and more like a relaxation type of setting. And that was very successful. We did 3 series. And we're looking into starting that again. So people would enter Mystic Mountain via the chairlift at night to come on to the top of the mountain, which was lit. The air is cool, the stage is right there, it's not far from you, the artist is in the crowd with you singing and dancing, and you get that whole intimate performance, and you get to relax and unwind without feeling any pressure of all this crowd on you, or the pressure of feeling like you need to belong in a VIP. Everybody was a VIP.
Right.
Everybody, there's no segmenting, and I feel like sometimes we need to get away from segmenting everybody in the event industry. Partying and events are about bringing people together. So why is it that I need to be in a VIP and you need to be in general? When we go out, it's about enjoying ourselves, meeting people, engaging people, and just living in unity and enjoying. Music is one of the greatest forms of bringing people together.
You also do marketing and consultancy as well? Jane of all trades here.
You know, what happened is that everything kind of blended in. So after we started to do more social events like Mystic Moonlight, River Days, people started to say, oh, I see that you do promotions for events. I said, well, I really don't do promotions for events. They're just events that we decided to get into. But then when Gustavus came to Jamaica, we were the company that launched them in Jamaica and invited the Jamaican population that it was okay to shop online, it was okay to use your credit card, and that we really needed to evolve into a more e-commerce market, which is where the world is heading. And Gustavus, as you know, is a social media marketing company which allows people to showcase their product, but in the form of a discounted format, which is brilliant. And so that again led to us launching of corporate companies, and that expanded into us being able to do marketing for companies. And then we did marketing for Mystic Mountain for their local market to again invite the local people to come down and enjoy Jamaica. Because a lot of Jamaicans don't enjoy Jamaica, and there is so much here that I'm sorry, you can go to Paris, you can go to London, you can go to the States, Canada, wherever, and you have not begun to explore what it is that we have in Jamaica.
What would you say is the biggest misconception about event planning?
That it's an easy job and that it's all about fun and partying. It's certainly not that, and I'm sure you can relate to that as well. It's a very high stress job because you're under pressure to deliver perfection. And I'm sure 80% of us event planners, especially the night or 2 nights before an event, I think we go through, we have a heart attack, we die, we get back, we come back alive, and then we start again. Between panics, no matter how much you think everything is in place, how much you plan, it's just a part of our nature to be like, all right, I hope this person delivers. And so it may look like a fun job and it may look cool, which it does have its moments of that. However, it's certainly one that requires a lot of you. It's very demanding of your time, and it is certainly a high-stress job that if you don't have a real passion for it, you won't be very successful in it.
Now, Monique, where do you see yourself in the future? What's the contribution that you'd really like to make?
One of the things I'd love to see for Jamaica in particular in the industry is that we need an association. Everything becomes a little dogmatic in terms of how we operate, you know, but there's so much out there for everybody to benefit. And being the second most demanded wedding destination or event destination in the Caribbean, then we need to allow people to trust that they're coming into an island with professionals that they don't have to be worried about whether or not this person is going to be able to deliver. So an event and wedding association is something I'm currently working on to see if we can just ensure that all the vendors are able to be in an association that they can contact. So if you're coming into Jamaica, you want to plan a wedding, you need a florist, you need a DJ, you need a host, you need an MC, then the association is able to say, we have 10 florists, these are your options, we have 15 decorators, we have 20 DJs, etc., etc. And then that way we have a more unionized setting that people can have the confidence in.
I think that's a brilliant idea. Monique, I love talking to people like you. I feel so motivated and so inspired when I'm finished. But thank you so much for joining us on Chill Spot. I enjoyed listening to your passion and your zest for what you do.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great. Now let's go have some dinner.
Oh yes, I have to get changed for dinner. Yeah. Coming up, how would you describe Monique?
Strong. Monique is strong. She's a go-getter.
Monique, how would you describe yourself?
Foodie.
Great design is not only how things look, but also how well they work. The GLC, more than meets the eye.
Michelle Chung, CEO and co-founder of Honey Bun in Jamaica, and you're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
Hi, Monique.
Hey, Candy. How are
Hi,
you?
everybody.
Hi, Candy. This birthday is so good.
Well, it looks good. I'm very excited to start. So you guys went ahead and ordered?
Yes, of course. We were waiting on you. And I did tell you earlier that I'm a foodie.
And the food looks delicious. I cannot wait to get mine.
You met the kids earlier.
Yes.
These are some of my longest lifetime friends. Shelly, Karen, and Ken.
Ken.
Shelly and Karen, we have come from such a far way. We used to work in the hotel industry together. Lord.
You guys don't look that old.
No. Who said anything about being old?
Oh, you make it sound like it was ages ago.
No,
and I can't imagine.
It's only like 4 years. Time plus 10. Yeah, so meet my friends, the real part of who I am, and please don't ask them any questions about me. Everything they say is a lie.
Let me direct this at the girls first. How would you describe Monique?
Strong. Monique is strong. She's a go-getter. She's a mom. And even though this is not a word you'd use to describe a person, but she's family. And she's sweet.
Monique, how would you describe yourself?
Foodie.
I expect her to be like, yes.
Foodie. Strong.
Okay, foodie then strong.
You know, I think my friends always say I'm strong. I think
Strength isn't just something you acquire overnight. It isn't something that I even think that you're born with. And people may disagree with that, but a lot of us gain strength from just the people around us and the experiences that we go through in life. You never know how strong you are until you have to face that battle that you've always feared, or a battle that you never saw coming. When I had my son look at me and say, "Mom, it's okay. We're with you. It doesn't matter where we are. Just as long as you know that we're a family and we're together, we'll be fine." And that gave me the ultimate strength to say to myself, you know what? If my friends see it in me and my kids see it in me, it must be there. And my strength came from my friends and my family who stood by me in a time that, wow.
It was difficult for you.
Well, yeah.
Switch gears a little bit and talk about your childhood. I'd love to hear about how you were raised and how all of that was.
Oh, I was a country girl, Pitney, run up and down barefoot and all.
But you're from Ocho Rios?
I couldn't run up and down barefooted even if I wanted to. My mother would have scolded me. But I'm a country girl, very proud, from Ocho Rios.
Okay, I was going to say where you
from Ocho Rios, and I would have not had it any other way. My childhood was very exciting, I think. My mom worked in the hotel industry as a food and beverage manager, so most of my life I spent growing up in the hotels. So I was accustomed to eating sushi and caviar at a very early age, simply because I used to, you know, when I'm at work with my mom, she's in food and beverage, I'm always tasting food and sampling food, hence why I'm a foodie today. But I had a very what I would call a real childhood. My brothers, my cousins, when you grow up in an environment where you were visiting your family and you're visiting your grandma and you're in the town and then your grandma is in the rural parts, and you know, I end up going to the river on a Sunday, cooking a pot on wood fire, roast breadfruit and roast yam, and they're making pepper pot soup and pepper shrimp soup and just everything on the river and breadfruit, and you never really realize just how much that meant until you're taken away from that environment, and then you realize just how real and natural life was in that setting where you had the best of both worlds.
Where did you go to school?
I went to St. Hilda's and I boarded, yes.
But then again, that would not have been so long ago, right? That you were in high school.
Oh, absolutely not. No, just the other day, And these children, I mean, they just came into my life.
And the 18-year-old, right?
Do you realize that telling me that I have an 18-year-old is me accepting that I'm stepping up in age? I do have an 18-year-old. She's in college in New York, and she is the definition of a strong woman.
So Monique, tell us, what else do you like to do?
Stay at home.
That's an honest answer.
Wait for 3 youngsters to crawl into bed and take over my bed space. I really like alone time with my kids. And I enjoy private and alone time with my friends. You know, when you're in the event and the social industry, you tend to be out there all the time and you're always on every scene and you're at an event and you're constantly going. So any opportunity that is a downtime for me is a time I take to reflect. You know, look at where I want to go, where I want to be, what I've done in the past, what I want to do in the future. And a lot of that you can't do when you have so much things going on around you. And so outside of the adventures of finding hidden treasures, I really do enjoy spending alone time with my kids and some private time with my friends at home.
Monique, I want to thank you for the day. I think it was a good balance of adrenaline and calmness and nature. I loved that. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing this with us.
Thank you for having me, and thanks to my friends for always being my support system. I couldn't have done it without them.
Absolutely.
I couldn't have done it without my friends and my kids.
Yay! And that brings us to the end of another episode of Chill Spot. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, getting to know Monique and experiencing her very exciting Chill Spot. Until next week, I'm Candy. Bye.
I'm hungry. Yes. I'm a different beast when I'm hungry.
You can tell me after, okay? So, tell I can't remember what I was supposed to say. I remember now already.
Action.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Really?
Possibly 11 and 12.
Well, I was thinking maybe we could do 13 and 14.
Ah, good idea. Nothing beyond 21 and then we're good.
Whoa, walking into the bush, that's great. Okay.
My name is Herbert Chung, Executive Chairman, Co-founder, Honeybun 1982 Limited. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
Considering breast cancer treatments often raise concerns and questions about life. And if you're fortunate, life as a survivor. This week on The Good Life, Deborah Williams shares her journey to conquer breast cancer on a road less traveled.
Hi, I'm Deborah Williams. I'm a medical missionary and a lifestyle educator. Cancer is a systemic disease, right? It hits the entire body. It is one cell. So picture one cell in your body. We have trillions of cells in the body, and one cell goes renegade. It just goes crazy. And that one cell replicates itself. And that one cell replicates and replicates and replicates and replicates until it becomes a tumor. That tumor now needs its own blood supply. It needs its own life support. And so that tumor now bypasses your normal system and it starts to feed itself. My journey with health and wellness started in 2012 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I started looking through carefully in terms of the history of breast cancer, where is it coming from, what causes cancer in the first place. So when I was told by my doctor that I have cancer, I knew what to do. I knew I had caused cancer. I knew I had breached my immune system, and I knew how to reverse it.
The news was devastating to say the least, but Deborah says she was comforted by the fate she had to go against the doctor's recommendations.
So I did all the tests, the diagnosis, all of the tests, the blood tests, you name it, CT scan, all of them. And it came back saying that it's cancer. Being diagnosed with breast cancer, I was told by my doctors to do chemotherapy, cut the breast off and do radiation therapy, and then to go on hormone therapy for 5 years. And so my journey in looking at the question of what is health, what is nutrition, what can be done that can reverse cancer without going through the harmful drug path and without cutting my breast off. And so I started researching nutrition. I started reading, and I also went to the Lord in prayer to ask him what to do, because he's the creator. He made my body. And so I went into the Bible. I went also reading a book I have called Ministry of Healing by Helen G. White. It's one of my favorite books, and I use it a lot. And so the instructions were very clear in this book in terms of what to do if you are diagnosed with any lifestyle disease. So we use acronym New Start, which is nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God. These are the 8 laws of health. And so I opted to go the natural route to reverse the breast cancer.
Like many, Disclosing a cancer diagnosis had many different emotions from Deborah's family and friends. They were even more appalled at her approach to the illness.
At the time, my son, because I have one child, and he was about 16 going to high school. And I remember he came home the night, because he used to board at Knox. And he came home, and I called him over and I said, honey, feel this. So I took his hand and I laid his hand over the breast. The tumor was large, it was 3.5 centimeters. You could feel it just by touching. I said, put your hand here, and he touched it. And then he pulled his hand back. I said, babes, that's breast cancer. But I wanted to put it to him in a certain way that he wouldn't crumble over it, right? Because everybody's afraid of cancer, and everybody just fall apart when they hear that you have cancer. I said, babes, we're going God's way. Not cutting off the breast, no chemo radiation. We're going to beat cancer together. And he said, yes, mommy. Now, my family, everybody broke up. Everybody fell apart. Everybody fell apart. Everybody was crying. Everybody was nervous. Everybody thought I was crazy. Everybody wanted me to do chemotherapy and radiation. And so I had to make a decision that my family, they don't understand, but because my faith is strong, I have to be strong for them. So when I started doing this natural pathway, I didn't have much support from friends. In 2006, my best friend was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, that's cancer in the bone marrow. And he did chemotherapy, he did radiation, he did all the surgery, and the cancer was there, even more aggressive. And he spent millions of dollars. That didn't help him. A friend of mine also died from stomach cancer. She did the same thing. She did the chemo, she did all that. It didn't help her. I know so many persons who went that pathway, and it didn't help them. And so in 2012, having done the research, so I know what caused cancer. I've seen the conventional pathway with the chemo and radiation, and I've met many persons who went the natural way, right? And so when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and my doctor gave me the option to cut the breast off and chemo and radiation, I thought about it and I said, but that doesn't make any sense. The success rate from the invented chemotherapy in the 1940s is less than 3%. Now, if you're doing something for so many years and your success rate is less than 3%, that's not success. So I knew that was not the pathway I was going to take. Now, I am a Christian, and I believe in God. And I believe that what he says, he means. And in the Bible, he says in Exodus 15:26, he says, I'm your healer. I am the God that healeth you. I am the God that make you. And so I went back to my God. I went back to my Creator. People say to me, boy, you're brave. I say, it's not a matter of being brave, you know. It's not just brave. It is just that I knew that the success rate of persons who have gone the natural way is great. And I know that the failure rate for persons who have done chemotherapy is high. So I chose to trust God and go the natural path. And that's what motivated me to use the natural methodology. My one friend who had multiple myeloma, he came down from Miami and he spent a week with me. And he and I did it together. So he taught me about the natural stuff that he did. We read back through the Ministry of Healing together. And then we started as a team, he and I, going through now, making the green juices and, you know, learning about how to make the vegetarian food tasty.
The Good Life will be right back.
This is Caroline Smith, marketing implementer for Sol Western Caribbean for Shell Lubricants, and you're watching Business Access TV, and they are serious about business.
Doggin Global Business Process Outsourcing. Doggin Global can help you with your day-to-day administrative and secretarial needs. We provide solutions for streamlining your accounting and bookkeeping procedures, so you can get on with running your business while knowing that all the accounting and statutory needs are being taken care of. Our BPO services include the following: bookkeeping, preparation of budgets, management accounts, and periodic financial analyses, provision of temporary or part-time accounting assistance, design and implementation of accounting systems, preparation of accounting manuals, payroll services, corporate secretarial services, assisting clients with their business entry strategy into the country, setting up new legal entities, maintaining minutes and other legal documents, non-executive directorships, preparing and submitting annual returns. For additional information, contact us at email info@doggin.global, website www.doggin.global.
Cameo takes you behind the scenes of Jamaica's exploding creative industries to give you an insider's look at how creatives get the job done.
I'm really picky about how we treat our customers.
As creative people, we went a little bit over the top.
Each week, we interview innovators leading the charge in their industry. The chaos of creativity meets the stricture of structure on Business Access TV's Cameo.
Creating change, building a future, caring hands, giving back, touching hearts, and shaping lives. Impacting our world for the better.
Welcome back to The Good Life. This week, we are looking at Deborah Williams' story of surviving breast cancer through alternative treatments. Today, she uses her experience to help others who choose to cure their ailments naturally. But what else makes her qualified to do so? She tells us.
I am a banker by profession. So I've worked with Bank of Jamaica, Citizens Bank, Workers Bank, I've gone through Scotia Bank, I've gone through the Caribbean Development Bank, I've gone through Inter-American Development Bank. I have a master's degree in finance, right? So I guess I'm a qualified banker. So where did this come from now? In 2012, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I closed my finance company, closed it. And I decided that I've got to learn about nutrition. And so I started doing online courses in nutrition, in anatomy, physiology, learning about herbs and how to properly use herbs, because listeners have got to understand that you can use herbs to your detriment too, you know. So you don't just go and just take herbs, you have to know how to use your herbs also. And so after doing a few informal courses on nutrition, I decided to step it up one notch further. So I decided to do my doctoral program. So I'm actually now completing my doctoral program in naturopathic medicine. So in a few months from now, I will be certified as a naturopathic doctor with an institution from Virginia called the International Institute of Original Medicine. So I am fully qualified as a trained nutritionist to give the advice I give to all of my clients. It was drastic. I must admit it was drastic, because when I went through again my book, Ministry of Healing, because I read the book, right, and it's very clear what to do. The steps are all laid out in this book. For example, I used to be a meat lover. I mean, I love chicken and I love my curry goat and my oxtail. I love meat. But when I did the research and realized that because they're putting so much chemical in the meat now, that it is becoming carcinogenic, so it's causing cancer. And so literally in one day, I went from being a meat lover to no meat at all. So in one day, I went straight into my kitchen, opened the freezer, throw away the fish, throw away the chicken, yeah? I threw it all away, the eggs, everything that tin in the garbage. And in one day, I went from being a meat eater to a straight, full vegetarian. So I went very drastic. I wasn't gonna play with my life, and I know, why would I put something in my body that caused cancer? And I know it caused cancer. And here I am now being told I have stage 2B cancer. It's spread from the breast, it's already in the lymphatic system. Anything that goes into my mouth must promote health, not destroy my health. And that's why I went so drastic and so aggressive in saying, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna go cold turkey, and I'm gonna change my diet and build back my immune system.
That's exactly what she did. Pretty soon, the positive changes were apparent.
The first sign I saw was weight loss. Because I tried for years to lose weight and couldn't lose weight. I mean, I went on every fat diet you can think of. I have done them all. I couldn't lose the weight. But when I changed my diet and took out the processed food and I took out the meat, I lost 40 pounds. And I lost that 40 pounds in less than 8 months. And so that was what triggered it. Then I started seeing the change in my skin and the change in my hair and just how I felt in the morning, more energy. You know, I could do more during the day. And so my first sign in terms of this is the best way to go was actually the weight loss. and then the skin and then the hair and all of that now led me to say, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm not going back there. And that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years. 9 months after going all natural, so 9 months after going on the New Start program, I went to Miami to do a PET scan. It's a test that shows whether or not you have cancer at the cellular level. So at the time, it wasn't available in Jamaica, so I had to go to the US. So 9 months after going on the New Start program, giving up the meat, giving up the processed food, all the thin stuff, was cleaning up my diet, going full whole food, plant-based. Within 9 months, I went and got my test done, and it came back showing that I was cancer-free. So it took 9 months. No chemotherapy, no radiation. Thank God I still have my breast, didn't cut it off. And it's now 6 years and I'm cancer-free. And that's the pathway I took.
Since being cancer-free from 2013, Deborah adds that she has never gotten sick. In fact, she says she's healthier than ever. Notwithstanding her excellent results, Deborah states that people, including friends, were still reactive than proactive in regards to their health.
Now, after the results came back showing that I was cancer-free, everybody came around. Everybody came around. But what is interesting though, is that many of my friends who saw me go through because I did a lumpectomy and took the tumor out, didn't cut the breast off. Many of my friends who were scared for me and they were asking me and begging me to do chemo radiation, many of them have come down with cancer since. And that is weird. That's the hurtful part for me. Because I've seen friends, family members who scoffed, who said it was foolishness, who said that's not the way to go. I'm now seeing many of them, one by one, family and friends, coming down with cancer. Whether it's prostate cancer, whether it's breast cancer, whether it's pancreatic cancer, whether it's tumor cancer. There's just too much cancer around me. The same people who saw me going through this, they are now coming out with cancer. Now, I believe I went ahead of them to learn to help. Because now I do all her consultations, and the majority of my clients are persons who have been diagnosed with cancer, persons who have taken the breast off already, they have done chemo, they have done radiation, and the cancer has come back. So the bulk of my clients are persons who have gone through that, and the cancer has come back. And they know they're looking for another way, something outside of that. And that's how come now I am now working with hundreds of persons across the world. Because my clients are not just Jamaicans. I have clients in the US, in the UK, I have clients in Africa, I have clients across the Caribbean who have cancer or they're trying to prevent cancer. And I get an opportunity to work with them.
Though Deborah consults many sick people who are willing to try a natural approach to healing, she stresses that she is not a medical doctor and does not diagnose diseases. As such, she requires clients to work with their physicians on any existing illnesses while she educates them on the best path for optimum health through nutrition, remedial and preventative medicine. The Good Life will be right back.
Accounting software selection and implementation. With the number of computerized accounting software packages available for small businesses and individuals growing every day, selecting one that is right for you has become increasingly difficult. As accounting professionals, we have knowledge of most programs, either through personal experience or industry literature. Our experienced staff can help you choose and implement the system that best fits your needs. For more information and to discuss your requirements with one of our experts, please contact us today. Email info@dodgen.global. Website https://dodgen.global. Take the guesswork out of improving your IT infrastructure. The field of IT changes so quickly that it can be hard to plan a strategy while keeping up with technological advancements. Yet, without a strategic roadmap built on data-driven insights, your staff can be overworked, spending excessive time putting out technical fires, instead of focusing on strategic tasks that fulfill core business needs. Our IT consulting services are the first step towards transforming your enterprise IT and improving your business efficiency. Our experts have the industry experience and best-in-class tools to methodically assess your entire support operation. we look at your IT support services holistically, identifying improvement areas that will have the greatest impact on employee productivity, service levels, and customer satisfaction. Need help improving your infrastructure uptime? Contact us to discuss a solution that will provide you greater productivity and efficiency. Email info@dodgen.global. Website https://dodgen.global.
Welcome back to The Good Life.
We are consuming too much meat in our diet. We need about 21 grams of meat. Any average human being, right? Let's say you're about 170 pounds and you may be 5'8". About 21 grams of protein is enough. It's like one chicken leg. Look in the plate of any Jamaican. We have about 2 chicken legs and 2 chicken breasts and a wing in there. We're eating too much meat. Then we don't consume enough vegetables. So you look in the plate and you see the white rice and you see the fried chicken, dope oil, right? So our diets have become so poor. It's nutrition deficient, right? So the first thing, when we look at what is causing so much cancer in Jamaica and in the Caribbean, we have to look back at the diet. When I was growing up, because I'm 47 now, when I was growing up, we used to eat porridge at morning time before we go to school, right? You come home, your mother makes soup for you. Look at what young people are eating now. You know, young people your age group. I mean, it's just pure junk food. Everybody going Kentucky and Burger King and patty. Nobody's cooking anymore. And so because there's an over consumption of processed food, there's an overconsumption of junk food. Yes, you're eating, but you're eating for belly full. You're not eating for nutrients. So the carbohydrates, the healthy carbohydrates, the protein, the healthy fats, the enzymes, the phytochemicals, we're not getting the vitamins and the minerals. So what you're finding, people are eating, they're stuffing, you know. But guess what happened? The body is not being fed. So one of the main problems that we're having is the sugar and the excess meat in the diet and the processed food. That's one. The second thing is the lack of exercise. If you look at most people now, people are hardly exercising anymore. People are busy or they're just lazy. And so the exercise in the morning to exchange that carbon dioxide and get the oxygen is not being done. And so the body is building up more and more toxicity. And so the exercise, the diet, the rest, everybody's now on iPhone and iPad and this and that. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, they're chatting on WhatsApp, they're not sleeping. Your body cannot repair if you're not asleep by 10:30, making melatonin, which is a hormone in the brain that repairs the body. And so if we go through the whole acronym, New Start, remember New Start? Nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God. If we do an audit of those 8 components, we can see why we have so much cancer in Jamaica and in the Caribbean. But it can be reversed, and we are reversing it. It's not just cancer, it's diabetes, hypertension, obesity, HIV, AIDS, you name it, right? People are calling high cholesterol. People are sick and they're getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. Now, if I had one advice to give my people, because I love my Jamaican people, you know, I don't want to see my Jamaican people sick. We're not supposed to be sick. This is a beautiful country and God has blessed this country with good sunshine and we have good soil and we have good food. My advice to anyone who maybe have been diagnosed with cancer or is trying to prevent it, start looking at a whole food plant-based diet. What is that? It comes from Genesis 1:29. I would advise that they start looking at more vegetables, fruits, nuts, seed, grains. And the bulk of the food, the bulk of the meal should be composed of that, right? So it should be really looking at your vegetables, your fruits, your nuts, your seeds, your grains, and your grown provisions. If we were eating like that, so in the mornings you have your fruits, right? And you have your fruits with your grains. For lunchtime you have your vegetables, and you can have your peas and beans, and you can have your grains, or you can have your grown provision. For supper, you keep it light. So you might have a fruit plate, or you can do a vegetable smoothie. But you keep it light in the evenings. So if somebody really wanted to say, I'm going to go on this health pathway, my advice, jump on to your whole food, plant-based diet. Get in your fruits, get in your vegetables, get in your grown provision, get in your grains, your seeds, and your nuts. And that will take you back on a path of filling the body with the nutrients that you need for perfect health.
With the tremendous amount of health food options in Jamaica, Deborah points out that there is no reason to be trapped in a mindset that eating healthy has to be expensive. She highlights 3 very accessible and cheap, but often overlooked food options to consider.
Tomatoes are very high in lycopene. It's very good for men with the prostate. It's very good for us overall. You can make a tomato juice, or just cook with the tomatoes, or eat it raw. Right, that's one. The second one is the breadfruit. Breadfruit grow well in Jamaica. Breadfruit is a good, healthy starch, and it's a very good filling food. It's very high in fiber. So I would say stop walking past the breadfruit and go buy white rice. White rice doesn't have the nutritional value in there. White flour is dead food, but the breadfruit is rich in the minerals and the vitamins, and it's very high in fiber. The third one would be sweet potato. We're overlooking the health benefits of sweet potato. Sweet potato is very, very high in minerals and vitamins. It's an excellent food for your eyes and for your skin because it's high in vitamin A. So sweet potato, I bake it, I boil it, I roast it. I tell you, it's one of the food that I would tell more Jamaicans use the sweet potato. You can make your sweet potato pudding. You can make your muffins with it. You can do so many things with your sweet potato. So that would be my top 3. It would be the sweet potato, the breadfruit, and the tomatoes. Those 3. I've also written my books, so I have a recipe book that I've written to teach the persons I'm working with how to do healthy, nutritious vegetarian dishes. So this is book 2, I have a book 1. I also have a book I've written about how I overcame breast cancer using God's 8 laws of health, and the book Ministry of Healing. And most importantly, we're not leaving it out, the Bible. This is our mandate. This tells us how to be healthy, spiritually and physically. So when I combine all of this, cancer cannot touch me anymore. I'm done with cancer.
And that's it for The Good Life this week. I hope you were inspired. I'm your host, Amita Prasad Webb.
We speak of not just decision making, but informed decision making.
This week on Business Access.
We want to have the numbers to support what we do, and we are in an age where, mistakes can cost, and we've seen it in other jurisdictions, we've seen it in our own history. I'm Wayne Henry, Chairman and Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, and you're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
M&A Strategy and Advisory. Are you planning for a merger or acquisition? M&A transaction. The decision to embark upon an M&A transaction is not one to be taken lightly. Whether pursuing a merger or acquisition, or considering a disposal or divestiture, the complexities of an M&A transaction require careful planning and execution. Clients can depend on our specialist teams to lead or support transactions requiring specific expertise on issues including business modeling, fast-track M&A, economic consulting, and government public sector advice. With deep experience, knowledge, and tools, Dodge & Global can meet stakeholder targets and expectations. Dodge & Global consulting teams can help you make smarter, more effective decisions. Let's have a conversation. Contact us at email info@dodgen.global. Website https://dodgen.global.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
Hi, it's Novia MacDonald White, Senior Associate Editor at the Jamaica Observer. And guess what? You are watching Business